What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome. I'm Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease, and today our show topic is, are you a liar? Are you considering yourself an honest person? Do you never lie? What if I told you that you are a liar and lie all the time? What if all of us are liars? You're joining me in a conversation about what is the truth and what is a lie. Magic is everywhere. Abundance is everywhere. What if we can tap into abundance and start creating it in our lives with total ease? Being a medical doctor, published author, all those big titles that I carry, I'm always interested in empowering people to heal themselves and see the magic that they are. And you can actually join me in the classes around the world in person or online now, or schedule a private session. And together, we can create more abundance and ease in any area of your life and in all areas of your life. So let's talk about lies and truth. Because when I grew up, I was always taught, tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. But in reality, do we actually tell the truth or we lie? There is a difference. I'm going to use Access Consciousness tools. Access Consciousness is amazing modality, set of tools, call it whatever it is. It's not a cult, it's not a religion, it's not a philosophy. It's just a whole bunch of tools that help people to create their lives. And it was created by Gary Douglas, co-created with Dr. Dane here. And the tool today I'm going to use, introduce, and maybe even abuse throughout the show is light and heavy. Whatever is true, you will perceive, you will feel as lightness. You will feel light. You will feel expanded. And each person feels it differently. And whatever is a lie will contract you, will feel constricting. It will heavy, oppressing. So let's play with that for a second before we actually go and consider where we're lying, where we're telling the truth, and what actually works in our lives. So lightness, the truth. The easiest way to look at that or to feel it is think of a moment when you were walking in the nature, swimming in the ocean, in the lake, where you're not encumbered by other people. Not on like a crowded beach, but somewhere in nature. You might not even have it in this lifetime. It might be somewhere, somehow, but you're sitting in the nature, maybe meditating, enjoying yourself, communing with the nature, maybe in the forest, walking the trails, hiking in the mountains, whatever is your natural environment. Doesn't have to be something fancy. The other option, if you cannot imagine that, think of a moment when you look in the newborn or infant eyes. Kind of like before they started talking, before they were introduced to this reality. Maybe just born, maybe a few days old, maybe a month. Just look in their eyes. For me, that's a light feeling. That's the truth. Nature never lies. Newborns never lies. Kids, they might. Teenagers, definitely. They lie all the time. You know, kind of like the saying, when do you know the teenager is lying? When they open their mouth and say something. That's as simple as it gets. And with newborn, it's different. So that's a feeling of expansion, of lightness. Now erase that and think of the moment in your life when somebody lied to you, betrayed you, put a knife in your back. Could be best friend, could be your lover, could be somebody else, coworker, doesn't matter. The moment in your life that somebody lied to you. Yikes. Doesn't feel good, does it? That's pretty much what the lies feel like, or is. We are natural lie detectors. Our bodies are natural lie detectors. So whenever you go after the show or in your life, whenever you're talking to somebody and you're asking questions and you would like to know if it's true or not, you can always think in your head, truth, and then ask your question. You don't have to say it aloud, though you can, but you can even think about it, truth or true, and ask your question. Let's say, truth, are you going to deliver on the project that we're doing together? And then, it's interesting. It's a universal law. The person either cannot lie, or they will squirm, and you will know they're lying. I had experience with that when I was renting a space for my office years ago, and I already had the tools, so I decided to use them. Not on the first interview, though. The first one, I kind of believed that they will do the magic, and I could use the conference room all the time, every day, any time of the day. So when I'm almost ready to sign the papers for the lease of the little space there, I kind of like asked the girl, I was like, and I'm thinking, truth, can I really use it every day? Or there is a limit on how much I can use the room? Suddenly, she started squirming. She was kind of like, let me call my boss, the manager. And I'm like, okay. So she calls the manager, gets her on the phone, and she's telling me, oh, you can use it anytime. And again, I think in my head, truth. And I'm like, is it really every day? 30 days a week? Suddenly there was a huge pause on the other line. Because I could feel when she was saying every day, anytime, it was a heaviness there. So I kind of like, okay, so is that true? And she's like, no, actually, not every day. It's once a month. And then you have to pay extra. I'm like, okay, thank you so much. Ain't working for me. So this way, I become aware of when people lying to me. But I always thought of myself as very truthful, honest person. And I always, always, always treasured it in other people. And I demanded it from other people. I kind of like, especially from the partner, they had to tell the truth. And if they lied to me, oh my God, I was so offended, I was so hurt, was so upset. You lied to me, how dare you, how could you? And what's interesting, my husband pretty much lied to me most of the time, and I wasn't even aware, because I wasn't willing to lie. And that was the biggest lie of them all, because we lie to ourselves, especially when we decide lie is bad, lying is awful, and it's wrong, it's bad. All of those points of view create almost like a shield where, first of all, we don't recognize when people lie to us, or we lie to ourselves, but it also doesn't allow us to perceive what is there. So are we liars? Yeah, because every judgment is a lie. And especially the judgment that we shouldn't lie is a lie. There is an old proverb: when a liar comes to a court, it's kind of like a riddle. They know he's a liar, and he says, I am a liar and I lie all the time. So is he telling the truth now, or is he lying again and he is truthful? So this is where we continuously run in circles and completely not aware of what we're doing. So if we actually acknowledge we're the liars, are we still lying to ourselves? So what if there is no good or bad, right and wrong? Would we actually look at things and say, oh, it's wrong to lie? Or would we say, oh, interesting point of view, they lied to me. Or interesting point of view, I lied to me. And not to have any judgment, not to have any solidity. What would that create in our lives? Would it change? Would it create a difference for us? Would it shift any perspective? Because a lot of times we try to tell the truth, and trying is a key word there too, but when we tell the truth to people, how often do we upset them? Because is that actually truth we're delivering, or is it judgment that masked as a truth? Is it our truth that's actually a lie for them? This is about completely being aware of what it creates. What if we, and by the way, this is the truth, is also a judgment. How much we are unaware when we are lying and judging, that creates so much shit in our lives. Creates the problems with other people, creates problems in our lives, in our bodies. And this is time for our first break of the show. You've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll continue to discuss, are you a liar? We will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is, are you a liar? And before we went on a break, we were talking about is like when we have conclusions, when we have judgments, those are lies. Even when we tell the truth to people, we think we tell the truth, but it's our truth. You know that expression, truth is in the eye of the beholder? Truth is another point of view. What's true for you might not be true for another person. And what if we actually acknowledge that and realize that everything is just an interesting point of view? That, by the way, is another tool of access. Just like light and heavy. And again, if it's light, it's true for you. And that might not be light for another person. Because a lot of things we bought throughout our lives from parents, from a lot of people, and it might sound like a truth, which might not always be, but that's kind of complicating things. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about what's actually true for you will feel light. How many judgments do you deliver at you, at your body? Are those truth or those are lies? Just think of any judgment you have right now. And is it light or is it heavy? And that would be the difference between an awareness that you have, and awareness is usually true, very light and fleeting, versus a judgment will be a lie and heavy and contracting. That's how you know the difference, because people say, how do I know that's an awareness or a judgment? Because both can be positive or negative. And again, positive and negative is a judgment. But what I'm saying is, let's say an example, oh, she's a wonderful person, could be an awareness or a judgment. She's a bitch, could be an awareness or a judgment. But if we concluded, if we bought the lie that that's the truth, let's say she's a wonderful person, she's a kind person, she's blah, 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 and those blah, 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 blah might be judgments, even that they're so positive, they're still judgments and lies, because they're not all the time. Not all the time the person can be kind and generous and wonderful and beautiful, all of that. It's usually like in that moment, in that 10 seconds. And then they can switch and be a bitch, because we have all those energies. And the more we refuse to be certain energy, the more it shows up in the sideways. So when we decided that that person is good, perfect, and correct, and beautiful, we might not see what's actually true when she's kind of mean to us. And then suddenly it's like, why is she so mean? She's so wonderful. How come she's been hurting me, or he's been hurting me? It's about being aware, not about the lies that we've decided is a judgment, because the good lies are still lies. When you're trying to give and there is a difference between compliment and acknowledgement, because acknowledgement is the truth, what the person is, and then a compliment could be to boost the ego up. How often do we try to boost people's ego? instead of actually seeing who is in front of us. There was an amazing movie years ago, and it just popped up on my radar in one of the chats. It's called Validation. It's a short, kind of like, I wouldn't say documentary, but it's a short movie where a guy at the parking lot, when they come to validate the parking ticket, he would validate them. He would tell them what's true about them, which was so light and so expanding, so people started smiling. And by the way, that's another key. When you hear the truth or what's true for you, you will smile. It will make you feel light to the point maybe you will be laughing, no matter what it is. Even if somebody tells you you're such a liar and you smile, that's probably what's true. Or if you tell somebody, oh, you're such a bitch or an asshole, and they look at you and smile, might be that you recognize who they are in that moment. Not necessarily it will be true 10 minutes from that moment, but in that movie, he was validating people or acknowledging them, I would say. But there is a lot of misuse of words in this reality, in this time and space. But this is about actually acknowledging what people are. And he was sometimes like picking little things. Like even if the person was in a wheelchair, he looked at her and says, oh, you have such beautiful eyes. It's about being present and aware of what person is. Because a lot of times we walk through our lives pretty much in an autopilot space and kind of like not seeing who people are, not seeing who we are. How much are you hiding who you are through all the lies you told yourself? Because a lot of times we bought the lies of others, but we're also telling it ourselves to the point where we start believing the lies. And we also create with that. Because every lie we tell to our body, like every judgment we put on a body, it actually creates the body that way. If you saw What the Bleep Do We Know, I love movies because a lot of, like for me, I pick up a lot of messages through that. And the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, it's half documentary, half actual movie, where there are interviews with psychologists, philosophers, religious leaders, and physicists, scientists. There's a lot of quantum mechanics in there. But the moment I'm talking about, she comes home after being at the wedding, drinking a lot, being upset, seeing her ex. And in the morning, with a hangover, she looks in the mirror and she starts judging herself. I am fat, I'm ugly, I'm old. And so those things suddenly start manifesting in her body. She became older and kind of like a blob of fat and ugly. And she looks at that and suddenly she makes a different choice. She takes a red marker and starts writing on her body, first on her thigh, on her arms, on her stomach, I love you. Basically telling the body that she loves the body. And that's actually the truth. Because everything else was a lie she was creating from the lies. And suddenly, that truth that I love you, meaning I love the body, her body started responding. It suddenly shrunk and became so beautiful, so elegant. And it's that transformation change whole perspective. So every judgment we put on the body is a lie. Because we create that body through those judgments. So how can we judge our body, hate our body? Body responds to everything we say or think, to every emotion we have. And yet, we continue lying to it. We continue lying to ourselves. Because in reality, we are much greater than any lies we tell ourselves. Every lie that we tell ourselves or to other people, it diminishes us. It makes us small. Think about when somebody criticizes you or judges you, does it expand you or does it make you feel smaller? That's the same thing when we do to ourselves. What if we stop that? But it's not about telling the truth. It's more about realizing that we're lying and actually choosing to say and be and do what's true for us. Because a lot of times we are not even sure what's true for us. A lot of times it requires exploration. There is a whole bunch of classes, Being You. And Dr. Dane here wrote a book, Being You, Changing the World. And it's actually true. Just recently I became Being You Certified Facilitator. And I resisted to that for a while. After I took the certification class, I realized because I was resisting to being me, because that means stop lying to me. It means actually recognizing the greatness. And it's time for our second break of today. And after we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what's true, what's not, and what is actually creating in our lives if we choose to be true to ourselves. You've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. And we will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is, are you a liar? And I would like to quote Marianne Williamson. Before we went on the break, we were talking about that fear of being who we are. And she actually wrote brilliantly. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who you are not to be. You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people wouldn't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So when we're playing small, that does not serve anyone, including the world. And people would say, oh, wait a second. I'm just like working in McDonald's, and how am I changing the world? Well, it doesn't matter where you work, where you be. Each person is a sparkle of light that if we start being true to who we be, to who we are, to what we are, suddenly the world starts changing. Doesn't matter if you're working on swiping the streets, or if you're a medical doctor, or if you're a president of a country. You still can change people's lives. Even if you smile to one person and that person in that moment starts smiling back, you brought more of joy into the world. And that's how the world is going to survive. Because right now there is a lot of wars, and we have the COVID, the virus, the pandemic. We have a lot of stuff going on in the world. In Chicago, there are looting, riots, violence, drugs, all of that. What if we can melt that just by being who we are, the greatness we are, instead of hiding in the face of adversity, in the face of hate? What if we actually started totally embody truth, love, gratitude, and everything we are? Because infinite being embodies everything. And by the way, not just positive and negative, everything. So what if you say, oh, but I would be killed if I smile at a gangster? What if you're not? What if you actually choosing who you are and asking questions, what would that create? Maybe smiling at the gangster when he has a gun pointed at you, maybe not your brightest moment. Maybe you need to run away, or maybe not to be in that place in the first place. Maybe if you ask questions and be aware, you wouldn't even go into that dark alley. Just saying, it's all about being true to yourself. If you're true to yourself, you might realize, wait a second, is it my brightest choice to go into the dark alley at midnight where there is a group of people with knives? And maybe you'll go the other way. But if you're lying to yourself, doesn't matter what lie you tell yourself, and go in the autopilot, you just walk through the dark alley thinking that, oh, this is a shortcut, I'll be home faster. And that might be a lie. Because it might be a shorter way, but a longer way in the long run. I forgot that expression, but there was an expression, short, long way, I think. and long, short way. Because sometimes it's better to go around, safer and more productive than to go straight through. Because that's where the truth and the lie is. And a lot of times there is truth and a lie mixed. There is part truth, part lie, and we're still thinking that we are very truthful and honest people when we do that. So with all of that, you would look at me and like, wait a second, what are you talking about? You confuse me completely. The idea is to be true to you. And again, whatever is light and expanding is what's true. Whatever is a lie will be heavy and contracting. That's all there is that you need to know. Just follow the energy. If it's light, it's true. So maybe you might choose that. If it's heavy and contracting, maybe not your brightest moment to choose that. And I know a person who says, I don't like to call people stupid. And I don't like when somebody else calls people stupid. But what if it's not a judgment? What if when we are not aware, we do stupid things? And what if we stop being stupid? What if we choose something different? What if we choose more consciousness instead of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness? Because a lot of times we do know what's true. And then we don't trust ourselves. How often you had an awareness, you had the premonition, you had a psychic type of moment where you're like, oh, I need to do this. And then you're like, no, that cannot be that easy, or no, that's too hard, or people told you that's not going to work. And then instead of trusting you, you chose what people told you or what you've decided is not going to work. And then looking back, you say, oh, I knew that. I totally knew that. But my invitation, and then you judge yourself again. My invitation right now, just look at those moments, but don't judge yourself. Don't go into that, oh my God, I should have done that. Oh, I was so stupid. No, stop it. Just like Bob Newhart says, just remember 2 words, stop it. Stop it. Stop judging yourself. I'm just asking you to look at those moments, to recognize how great you are and how powerful and psychic you are. Not to judge you for the past. Past is gone. It's over. Now what will you choose? What if now you choose to trust you? You're like, okay, I had that in the awareness. That felt very light. So let's choose something different. Let's look at what we know, what's light for us, and choose from that space instead of from all the lies and judgments of other people. What if you can just melt and dissolve all the lies in front of you by just being? And you would ask, being what? Just being. A lot of times people misidentify. Being is like doing nothing. It's not. It's just being who you are. It's a space of total allowance, total awareness, total presence. It's where you know, be, receive, and perceive all of you, all of the universe, and you have that knowing. What will work, what will not work. And you can even ask questions. Like, because we create from energy, space, consciousness, choice. all of those are elements of creation. So what if you ask, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can my body and I be to create, generate, manifest something with total ease? And that something can be anything that you choose. But in order to create or generate something, you have to be first true to you. Because if you're creating from a lie, from a judgment, from a conclusion, it's very hard to create that. I've done a lot of those creations from that in my life, and there's always something that's like, eh. And by the way, when you create, it never looks the way you think it will be. It's always like something different. And saying that, if you create from a lie, you actually create more lies. I mean, think of it. If you have mom and dad who look a certain way, and they have certain genetic material, you put them together, and they create a baby, can that baby be different than the parents? In some cases, possibly there is a mutation, and the baby chooses something different. But I'm talking about if you're creating from the lives. You can create only a certain number of possibilities. And most likely, those will be lies. There are exceptions. I'm not talking about that. But if you're creating from what's true for you, how much different your life would be? Ponder on that question. When we return, we'll talk more about that. And it's time for our third and final break of the show. And when we return, we'll talk more about lies and truth and what works and what doesn't work. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. We will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is, are you a liar? With everything that going on now in the world, it's a lot of people say it's so hard to distinguish between lies and truth, what's on the internet, what's on the news. Again, light and heavy. If it makes you feel light, it's a truth. If it makes you angry, that's another thing. Because a lot of times lies will make us angry. It's almost like, rah. We are like, eh. almost like a tiger or a bear. And a lot of times we have no idea why. Suddenly we get angry. Listening to the news, we get angry. Listening to internet, we're getting angry. Reading something, we get angry. There is a lie somewhere. Might be even some truth with a lie attached to it. So you might ask, where is the lie? Spoken or unspoken? Because a lot of times it's unspoken lie that triggers us. And I'm talking about triggers big time. Because there were times where I was like, I couldn't understand why I was so angry. Like, my life was okay, everything is okay, and suddenly I would get angry listening to something on TV. And I'm like, wow. With Access, I finally realized what was going on. And Access Consciousness has amazing, amazing tools. That's why I chose to facilitate the classes with them and use their tools with clients, with students. It's amazing. And by the way, if you're interested, I'm doing some classes. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. There is going to be a free Zoom on August 28th at 9:30 in the morning. Do you see your body as a friend or an enemy? And that will be translated into Mandarin for people who don't speak English. And on August 20th, I'll be facilitating Being You Intra-Adventure Wealth of Being with amazing facilitator Rachel Silber from Guatemala, as well as 3-day body class in Chicago area in Buffalo Grove on August 21st, 23rd through 23rd. That one requires foundation and bars class to attend. And there's going to be Being You class September 7th. In all of those classes, we'll be talking more about the tools and how you can change your life using those tools. But meanwhile, let's do something else. Because a lot of times when we do get angry with the lies, and we have no idea what it is, even when we ask the question, it's kind of like, yeah, the anger starts subsiding, but sometimes you can actually dissolve the lie in your universe by just expanding. And let's do that. Let's drop our barriers to anything, including to lies. And by the way, our unwillingness to lie also creates more lies in our lives. You're like, what? It does create more lies if you resist lying or resist to people lying to you. I know it's from first-hand experience, seriously. And it doesn't mean that you go out and lie. This is not about that. It's about being willing to lie whenever it's required. And by the way, telling people what they need to hear not necessarily is lying. But you wouldn't do that because you already judged it as a lie. So what if you actually chose, okay, I'm willing to lie? What would that create in your life? I wonder. And you can wonder. But don't choose that, because that might make your life a little easier. So let's look at any lie in your life. Drop your barriers. And imagine that lie as a balloon. Or something, energy, doesn't matter how you imagine that. And now expand that lie. Maybe a mile, 10 miles, like make it big, bigger. Is it still there, or did the balloon burst, or it just disappeared? That's how you can really dissolve the lie, by making it bigger. Because usually, because lie is contracting, lie is also a contraction. It's something solid, because otherwise it doesn't exist. As Mark Twain said, if you would like to lie, tell the truth, because the lie has to be believable versus the truth does not. So the lie has to be solid and contracted and small in order for you to believe the lie, versus truth doesn't have to be. And so expand another lie. Take another lie in your life and expand that. Disappears. Isn't that funny? Now take something that's true. Let's say your love for a child, your love for like somebody or something that you know that's a true love, or gratitude. Let's take a gratitude, because love can be a lie too. But gratitude, like take some gratitude that you feel for somebody. And now drop your barriers and expand gratitude. Expand more. 10 miles, 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles. It's still getting bigger, isn't it? That's the difference. Because the lie has to be within certain parameters. Had to be small. Truth does not. And truth is expanding. And that's how you know what's the truth and what's a lie. If you expand something and it disappears, it's a lie. If you expand it and it's still there after you expand it to at least like 1,000 miles, most likely it's a truth, at least for you. Wow. And now let's expand ourselves at the end of the show. We have a couple of minutes left. So drop your barriers and expand it. Expand a mile, 10 miles, 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles. Even more. Keep expanding, keep expanding, keep expanding, keep expanding, keep expanding. More. Even more, even more, even more, even more, even more. Make yourself as big as Earth and bigger than the universe, and even more. How you feel right now? Love that. So we're coming to the end of our shows, and you can choose to create more from your life, from everything that you desire, or you can create from a lie that's much smaller, that has to contain into the box of what people can believe in. And again, if you'd like to hear more, next week we will have a show, Gaslighting is Not Personal. Join me here, same place, same time, or join me in my classes around the world, and you can find out that on my webpage, creatingabundancewithease.com, or email me through the website. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic